We got Christina. Christina, what's going on?
Good morning, Ray. Thank you so much for
Morning.
having me. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure. So tell me where you're at. How can I help?
Well, first off, I just want to congratulate whoever gets Time Money Freedom. I just started it, and I have to tell
Oh,
you, I'm on rule number two,
mm,
and it is the greatest gift anyone could really have. The
oh,
golden nuggets that you and Jessica provide are really life-changing to me. So
wow.
I just want to say your kids are very lucky to have you guys as
Oh,
parents and all the golden nuggets that they get every single
mm,
day, and they're going to grow up to be some pretty amazing humans. So
oh.
thank
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
So I am dealing with, it sounds a little crazy, I'm dealing with a lot of voices in my head, a lot of very conflicting voices in my head. I don't know if it comes down to things that I've been dealing with in my past. I don't know if it comes down to my career, but I was in television for 10 years. And being in television, it is a dog eat dog world. You typically don't tend to ask for help because it shows a weakness. You're
Right.
supposed to exude confidence and
What kind of
assertiveness.
television? Like,
So I hosted my own morning show for a local television. Prior
okay,
to that, I was your weather girl for a very popular Spanish uh, morning show, which was a national show, which was
awesome.
kind of the peak of my career, which was amazing. But unfortunately, the way that I achieved that position was from my local morning show that I was doing here in San Antonio. But it was a position that I never done. I never studied meteorology, and I was one of the pretty girls, the weather girls,
Sure.
and pointing at numbers. And uh, my contract was for 1 year, and it was a 3 hour show. And every hour I would come on, and every time I would come on, I would present the weather. And then on my phone, Twitter was big at the time, so on my phone I'd get notifications of it was usually men making comments about my appearance, and then
Sure.
women making comments about my lack of knowledge in weather
Yeah.
and the reason why I got on there. So I think
Best
that
of both worlds, right?
yeah, the best. And I think that really got into my head. And when
Yeah.
you hear that multiple times a day, every single day, you start to believe it. And I thought, I mean, why? Yeah, it's true. I'm not worthy of this. I'm not a meteorologist. I shouldn't be doing this. And now that I found network marketing, I see such incredible potential and I love it. I wish there wasn't that stigma that it has because I've never learned so much about myself. Thanks
Mm.
to network marketing, thanks to rank makers. I mean, it is truly it's so hard, but just to see that goal is very it's exciting and to see the potential and what people can achieve. But recently we had our company as a reunion celebration is the annual conferences that the network marketing companies do. We recently had ours, and you see all the successful people going up on stage, and I see this one particular woman she has 7 kids, and she was in television, and I thought, wow. She was in television and she's got kids, and I could relate to her. But when I heard her talk, Ray, she did not stutter. She had a big smile. She was assertive. She had so many qualities that I wish I had. For me, it's been more of acting confident and really, but I think that's coming through in my prospecting because I'm anticipating, I'm used to presenting information and it being received. And now I'm seeking out and I'm not getting, it's either no response and or ignoring, messages being ignored. And it's something that I'm not used to. And it gets to my head more than I'd like to admit. And I know I've listened to you and you're like, I go for 20 no's a day and it just rubs off on me and I don't care. And I find it really admirable that you've acquired that thick skin, that you're able to talk about your past and without, you know, breaking up. And so for me, it just seems like such a far away. Part of me thinks, I don't think I can do it. I don't think. But then my other voice says, yes, you can. You just, but how? Practice?
Sure. Sure. Um, so How was like growing up? Were your parents tough on you, or like what did you experience then?
I grew up with, so my parents divorced when I was young. My dad was an alcoholic and he passed away. And then my mom remarried and she had my stepdad, who was a wonderful father, but he was very tough, very, very tough. And I recall one instance, he loved chemistry and
What
he,
year? How old were you when they divorced?
6. 6. And I witnessed a lot of,
Did you blame yourself?
no, no. At that time, it was more of, why do we have to separate? I was scared. I knew why, because there was physical abuse, there was a lot of yelling, and as a result of that, I avoid confrontation at all costs. Um, but it was more of, I never questioned why. I understood why. I just wished that it was different.
So when you say you avoid confrontation at all costs, it means that you're not putting yourself first. It means that you're not you and how you feel and what you think isn't the priority. And when you're not the priority, then it's easy to succumb to the opinions of others. Do you understand that?
Yeah, like Jerry Maguire, you're not. I'm not going to cry, Roy. Um, I totally agree. I agree, and I think it's also because I can't even. I don't even know how to argue. I stutter. I get scared. It's one of those things that I walk away and I'm like, I should have said that. Why don't you say that, Christina? Why don't you have enough self-respect to defend yourself? But I can't. I block. My mind just goes blank, and I just think, and I'm just blank. I can't say anything.
So it's there was probably a time, and I'm betting around 6, where you stood up for yourself and it was a very bad result. Do you have anything like that? Where you tried to use your voice and tried to stand up for yourself and it went the other way? No.
Maybe because I'm on the spot right now and I can't remember, but I have to think about that.
And I will tell you, it often I do one of these coaching sessions and someone messages me later and says, "Oh my God, I thought of this time that I'd totally forgotten." That's very common because your non-conscious mind is protecting you. And that's why we forget the past. Like I didn't even remember that guidance counselor betraying me when I was in the 3rd grade. And that was literally being blocked from me because to keep me safe from some harm that happened in the past, your non-conscious mind will actually block that out. You'll forget the past. You're like, I don't even like, I remember coaching a lady and we were talking and she goes, I don't really even remember my mom. And it's like, she didn't pass till she was like 20 or something like that. And so there's so much pain there that the mind just built a wall and she can't even remember any of it. So it's very, very common for us to forget things that really hurt us because it doesn't want us to figure those things out because then we'll be in danger. Mm-hmm. So if we, stood up for ourselves or we blame ourselves for something and it hurt us, we'll often say, let's not do that again. No thanks. And so like, well, how do you not do it again? Just build up a non-reason wall where you just don't do that.
You know what I think, Ray? I think it, and now as I hear you talking, I think it stems from my mother defending herself. So when my dad would come
So
home,
observing someone standing up for themselves.
Yes, it was
That makes sense.
my dad would come home, country music would be blasting. So that was my trigger of, and to this day, it's very hard for me to listen to country music. I'm coming around, and then I would hear country music blasting, arguments, and then it would be just beatings. It was be so for me.
I'm so sorry you experienced that.
And so clearly it's something that I still need to work on. I'm getting emotional. That's why I admire so much your ability to speak things that to me, I don't even know how I would even, where I would be if I went through what you went through. And to see you gives me a lot of hope. But but I think it's something that I still need to work on and heal. And
For sure. That's not a maybe. That's a for sure, and that makes sense. If you witness someone as influential as your mom stand up for herself, and it ended poorly, then we can very easily draw the conclusion of, oh, well, I better not defend myself, or and that would make sense why Twitter knuckleheads would mess you up, is you not wanting to defend yourself, and it just makes a lot of sense. I'm so sorry you had to experience that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I admire my mom, because she's still just as tough, and she still defends herself no matter what. And I wish I had that trait that she has, because she doesn't take beep from anybody.
Yeah. Well, you can have that. You just have to, now that you're aware of, hey, I'm aware that I don't stick up for myself, you can have that awareness. And I would think there's nothing, especially since, I love it that you said you admire her. The biggest way you can honor someone that you respect that sticks up for themselves is learn to stick up for yourself. That's the biggest way that you can honor her, is to learn, how to stick up for yourself. And so, one, I'm willing to bet she would love to mentor you on that, and go to her and say, hey, I've come to the realization that as a kid, I just saw you go through so much. And as a kid, I just drew this conclusion not to stick up for myself. Can you help me with this? And I would ask her, I bet she would absolutely love that, to be able to mentor you on that.
I appreciate that. I think so. I think part of me, and part I think I haven't done it, is because she's in very defense mode. So it seems as though a lot of relationships have been torn as a result of her sticking up for herself too much, to the point where it's almost like a constant chip on your shoulder.
We're all in reaction. Okay. You're in reaction from seeing her. She's in reaction from seeing whoever. I don't know if it was her mom or dad. I don't know who it was, but she drew the conclusion that I'm not going to be treated that way. I'm going to stick up for myself. So I don't know if you know your grandma or grandpa, but perhaps one of them was a pushover, and your mom learned, I'm not going to be that. So we're all reactionary beings. We all observe things as a kid, and we drew this conclusion, but so did our parents too. And it goes on and on and on and on. And so, it's very common for, someone that's always defensive, like you're saying, to struggle with relationships, because they're always beating them to the punch, right? Let me not let them hurt me. But that also prevents people from loving them too. And so that's why I think I think it would be very powerful for you to talk to her about that. And because she could most likely learn something from you as well. And you learn that sticking up for yourself too.
Yeah. Come to a happy medium where it's not too much or not too, where to the point for me, and I'm a people pleaser and a pushover, and will do whatever I can to make you happy, because as long as you're happy, then I'll be okay. Don't worry about myself.
Right.
So I just don't want that to reflect in my business. And that's what I am trying to work on. And I'm so grateful that Marcela set this up with us. So thank you.
Yeah. And, one thing I'll share with you, one last thing here, because I see my buddy Hank on here as well. The first major real breakthrough that I had happened in, the last couple of years, and in the last 2 years. And so I was working with a coach, and he's the one that, one of the exercises he had me do is go back to my younger self and tell my younger self that I was going to grow up and everything was going to be great. I'd have a great business. I'd have an amazing wife, had a great family, make millions of dollars, have lots of followers, yada, yada. And so I do this exercise, and I was in hypnosis. He's a hypnotist. And he asked me, he's like, how did that feel? And I said, He didn't believe me. And so the interesting thing about that exercise is, there is no little kid. That's actually your subconscious. So literally, I didn't believe it. So I didn't.
You didn't believe what?
I didn't believe my reality.
Oh.
And that's something that Hank is suggesting, and I'm suggesting too, that you accomplish those things. Whether someone has an opinion on how good your meteorologists are or not, you were there. You did those things. And, and it reminds me, I don't know if you've ever heard of Rachel Ray.
Love her.
Have you heard of Rachel Ray?
Yeah.
So Rachel Ray, I don't know if you know her story, but she didn't know how to cook a damn thing. And she told people, I forget the exact circumstances, but she gets interviewed and she BS's her way through and then learns cooking. And so this isn't a, hey, you're out of your league, or hey, that you don't deserve that. You got that. And so back to my story of my younger self, which is really my subconscious, didn't believe these things. And I realized that for all of our marriage up until the last 2 years, when I would describe Jess, I would describe her one way: unbelievable. I'd say, I have an unbelievable wife. And it's literally because I didn't believe my reality. I didn't believe it. So if you don't believe your reality, it could slip out from under you very easily. And you show up in a way as if you don't have those things, even though you do. You show up as if you're not that person, even though you are. And so I would just encourage you to embrace that of, you did those things. You accomplished those things. And that's awesome. And someone's opinion, every day I get different opinions thrown at me, accusing me of this, of that, of this, whatever. And so there'll never be a lack of opinions. The only time that you're not going to get any conflicting opinions, if you play so small, no one ever notices. And that's not your destiny. Your destiny is to grow into something really, really amazing. You already are, but even go to that next level of impacting more people and helping more people, because there's a lot of people that resonate with your story. You can see that in the comments right here. And so I do think that, you spending that time with your mom and you guys kind of, don't be addicted to her changing, right? But, you getting that mentoring and having some healing there, I think would be very, very helpful for you and also her.
And her, both of us. I think so too. Thank you.
And then let's make sure, I want to hear an update on how things are going. So I know I believe you're in Inner Circle, and so I want to make sure we get an update. But I think that'd be a good action step for you next.
Okay. Yes. And she's in the next room, so we're gonna have a quick talk when I see her.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Ray. I appreciate your time. Very helpful. Very helpful. Awesome. Baby steps. And another thing why I love the Time, Money, Freedom is my why and then my vision. And I didn't know that there's more than why. And so it's just, that book is, oh my God. I'm taking notes. As I'm taking notes, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just verbatim writing this book onto my computer and my audiobook, because every single word is so valuable. It's really, really something special. So thank you. And my mom just ordered it on Amazon. So I can't wait for her to read it too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Christina. Thank you for being vulnerable. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you've done. And I know you're going to do some really cool stuff too.
And hopefully work for you one day.
Okay. All right.
For you and Jess. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you.
You can find more great marketing, prospecting, and recruiting tips just like these over at rayhigdon.com. And remember to pick up your free copy of his 29 sources of network marketing leads. We'll see you over there.